So find a way to.
Hello, beautiful beings of light. My name is Monica, and in today's video, I am going to prove to you how powerful your mind actually is. I have seen this technique a few times over the years. I can't remember the exact first time I saw it and who I saw it from, but I do remember I did see it once on a YouTube video from a lady named Marissa Peer. And I thought it was really interesting because I think it would really help with the law of attraction once you really start to understand how powerful your mind is and how it can attract certain things even without having it physically present. So for this experiment, I don't have to have a visual, but I decided I wanted to since I had it anyways. And we're going to be using a lemon for this demonstration. So what I want you guys to do is to use your imagination for a moment. So right now I have a lemon, right? You can see how vibrant it is, how yellow it is. You can see the seeds. I want you to imagine that you're holding it or touching it and you're feeling the bumpy part of the skin where it's hard, and that you're touching the flesh where it's softer and kind of juicy. And then I want you to think about the smell. Imagine the potent citrusy smell of this lemon. And I want you to imagine right now that you have this lemon and you're about to take a huge bite into this lemon, and all of the citrusy juice is going to squeeze into your mouth, and it's going to be super duper tart as you're biting into it. So how many of you guys, your glands started to salivate as if you were actually biting into it right now, even though it's not presently in front of you? And did your face maybe start to scrunch up like you do when you eat something sour? I know my face does. So I thought this experiment was really cool because it shows how powerful imagination can be and how powerful our minds are, because we can feel like we're experiencing something even if we're not physically there or that thing is not physically in front of us. Like I've said in my past videos, your subconscious mind does not know if something that is presented to you is real, whether you're looking at it in a photograph or you're looking at it on TV. It has no idea that that is not real. Consciously, you know you're watching a movie or you know that you're looking at a picture, but subconsciously, it does not know. It's just consuming that information, and your subconscious just thinks all of it is real and that you're experiencing it and that it's happening to you. Most people suspend their disbelief whenever they're watching TV or a movie. They may become so enthralled in what's happening in the scenes that they may forget where they are for a moment, forget who they're with, and may not notice anything else that is happening in the room. This is also why we may feel such a wide range of emotions while we're watching a screen, even though we consciously know it is not happening in real life. So we may cry whenever there's a sad scene, might get angry or upset whenever a main character does something that we think is stupid, or we might laugh because there's something funny that we think is going on and we're witnessing it. I remember the time I went to go see the Fast and the Furious 7 in theaters, and I went with my husband, and I was literally on the edge of my seat. And I had told my husband after we had finished watching the movie that I literally felt like I was gonna have a heart attack, like through all of the really intense scenes, and there's so many of them. And needless to say, I haven't watched any of the newer ones after that. I mean, I still like the movies, but it felt like I was gonna have a panic attack. And right now, as I'm editing this, I'm like having a little anxiety, but I'm also laughing because it's just so ridiculous. I know it might sound silly, but I'm just really able to suspend my disbelief in a big way when watching movies, and it's like being a child where you think all of the stuff that's happening is actually real before your parents tell you they're not, even though technically I know they're not, but I definitely feel into them when I'm watching them. So in a way that can be kind of fun. And this is why I've said so many times that we need to be more conscious and mindful of things that we're consuming. And consumption is not just what we put into our body, like food and drink. It's anything that we're consuming, like the kind of environment we're in, whether it's healthy or it's toxic, the kind of people we're hanging out with, whether they're functional or dysfunctional, with also our relationships, our workplace, anything that we're watching for entertainment or reading for entertainment, looking at on social media, all of that stuff we're consuming, because everything in life is made up of energy. And we are constantly interacting with different energy, whether it's with a person or situation or with a thing. What I invite you to do when you're trying to manifest using the law of attraction, there's two ways that I think are generally used for manifesting, and one is visualization. And that works for some people. It doesn't work for everyone. It really depends on how good you are with visualizing. Some people can see pictures and objects in their mind very clearly. Others see them very faintly, and some don't see them at all. So visualizing doesn't work for them. And then the second one is by writing, journaling, scripting, writing as if you've already had it, and then talking about it as if you've manifested and what it's like after you've manifested it. So with either technique, I want you guys to really get descriptive in what it is that you want. I want you to use as many senses that you can. Not everything you might be able to taste with your manifestation, but you know what you're going to see, what it feels like, or what you feel once you've gotten it, what you hear, what you smell, if you can smell it. Just try to be as descriptive as possible. I know back in school, especially elementary school, when we did a lot of writing, creative writing, that was my favorite thing to do. I loved to write, and I loved the descriptive writing where you use similes, like her eyes were as blue as the pool, or I know that's a terrible example, I haven't done it in a long time, but where you really just start writing like the person who's reading it feels like they're there. And that is what really gets us feeling like we're just completely consumed in our reading in this book, because we feel like we're actually there. And that's what we need to do when we're manifesting, especially when we're writing. So I'll give a personal example. When I had my last job, which was over a year ago now, I think, every morning as I was driving into work, because there was a lot of traffic and it would take kind of a while, I would start to imagine that I was at a beach. And the reason why is I grew up in Florida. I love water. I'm a total beach bum. And not everywhere I've lived, I've gotten to be by the beach. So I grew up in Florida, but I lived in New Mexico for like 14 years, and there's no water there. At least there's no beaches. And then we had moved to Oregon, where we were by the coast, so there were beaches. And then after we moved from there, we moved to Colorado, which is very mountainous, and there's no beaches there either. And so while I was working, I was in Colorado. And as much as I love the mountains, I just missed the beach. So I would try to incorporate as many senses as I could into my visualization as I was driving. Like, I didn't close my eyes, I was just thinking about this in my head. So for example, I would think about looking at the ocean, what it looked like. It was a turquoise blue, and I could see huge waves crashing onto the shore, and I would see the water glistening, like sparkling like glitter. So that's what I would see. When I would think about hearing, I would think about hearing the sound of seagulls when they make their noise, whatever noise that they make. And I would think about the sound of the waves as they crashed onto the shore. And for touch, I would imagine that I take my shoes off and I'm standing on the beach and I'm feeling the sand in between my toes, and the sand is very fine and it's very warm from the sun. For the smell, I would imagine the smell mostly of just the salty sea air. If you've ever been to a beach, you pretty much know what that smells like. And for taste, I would imagine eating a ripe, juicy, sweet watermelon while I'm sitting on the beach. Because my favorite thing to eat while I'm on the beach is just some kind of fresh fruit. especially because it's cold, and when you go to the beach, usually it's really hot, especially if you're not in the water. And it's very hydrating and it's really refreshing, and I can imagine what watermelon tastes like because, I've had it a lot in my life. And so then I was able to use all 5 of my senses, feeling like I was actually at the beach. And again, it was easy for me because I've been to quite a few beaches and I grew up by the beach in Florida. For someone who hasn't been to the beach, I don't think this visualization would really work. I mean, you could try either way, but it's easier, I think, if you've actually experienced it. And so I did this every day for weeks, and then eventually I think I just kind of gave up. This was also probably towards the time where I quit my job, so I wasn't driving every day and I wasn't thinking about it anymore. And then I realized today, as I was cutting up this lemon, that I did end up manifesting going to a beach, because just maybe like 2 weeks ago, my husband and I went to Oregon, and we were there for an entire month, and we were in a town that was really close to the coast and really close to the beach, where we got to go quite often in that month that we were there. And I did take off my shoes and I did walk on the sand along the water, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I just realized now that I manifested that, because when I was thinking about it and visualizing it, a year ago, I forgot about it right afterwards. And just now I was like, oh yeah, I actually manifested that. That's amazing, because at that time we did not know we'd be full-time RVing. And we also didn't know that we would be going to Oregon or anywhere with the beach. I also feel like I manifested it because by the time we had decided we wanted to go there, it was a month in advance. And where we were going is a very popular touristy destination. And you've got to book a year or so in advance in order to get a spot, especially depending on the length that you wanted. And at first we were going to do 2 weeks and then move to a different part, but everywhere we had called was completely booked solid, and we were not able to get any more reservations. But luckily we did find one place. We called for 2 weeks, and then right afterwards we decided we needed to do another 2 weeks and called again, and they said they were able to do that. So that was definitely a manifestation success. And just also, if you're visualizing instead of writing, ask yourself the questions: what does this look like? What does this feel like? What does this taste like? What does this smell like? If you can come up with all of those. Again, I know not everything you might be able to smell or taste. Pretty much everything you can see and maybe touch, but maybe not hear as well. But just use those, because that's going to get your mind feeling like you're actually there, or you actually have it. Just like my little example with the lemon. I mean, you would think, how can you feel like you're eating a lemon when you're just watching a video that was filmed prior to being posted, and I'm in a different state or across the country or in a different country from where you are. That is my video for today. I hope that this technique will help you with your manifesting and your visualizing, or with your journaling and scripting, or just help you again to realize how powerful your mind is. You can attract anything you want. You can do anything you want. You really just got to start to believe and realize how powerful you are. So let me know down in the comments if you guys are going to try this technique, or just what you think of it in general. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.